Hi guys, so we're on part 3 of Posted. Make sure you've watched the previous 2 videos so you know exactly where we are. I am starting on page 16. So the boys are talking about Ruby and what she did with her text message to somebody else about one of the teachers at school. So page 16. Actually, I wouldn't dare say some of the things Ruby said about anyone, not in any way that could be traced back to me at least. Why not, though? Bench asked. I mean, she's entitled to her own opinion, right? Like constitutionally? I gave Bench a look. He wasn't defending her. He wasn't friends with Ruby any more than I was. He was only playing devil's advocate. We learned about the Bill of Rights in social studies earlier this year from a droning Mr. Hostler. I didn't pay too close attention. Most of the amendments only seemed to matter if you got arrested, which wasn't in my foreseeable future. Mom would kill me. Though Bench's comment made me wonder if Mr. Jackson could have Ruby arrested for defamation of character or something. Verbal abuse? Assault with a deadly text? The First Amendment says nothing about reasonable consequences for sending text, calling your science teacher, Dee tried to muster the courage to repeat what he had read, but it was too much for him to say out loud. He wasn't exactly a rule breaker. None of us were. We weren't total stuck-ups either. We just tried to keep our noses clean. We flew under the radar. It was one of the many keys to survival. I'm pretty sure it just keeps you from being arrested for saying what you think. Doesn't mean you can't get in trouble. I think she was better off keeping her opinion to herself, Wolf said from behind me. Wolf, the voice of reason. We counted on him for that, just like we counted on Dee to find drama in everything, and Bench to keep us from getting beat up, and counted on me. I'm not sure what we counted on me for. Mark my words, this isn't over, Dee divined. Somehow or another, it's going to come back and bite us all in the you-know-what. Are you going to roll for it, I asked, or are you suddenly psychic? I'm telling you, Dee said. Stuff like this doesn't go unnoticed. Nothing's going to happen, Wolf countered. Nothing ever changes around here. I nodded. Sure, he was right. I'd never seen Wolf get flustered over much of anything, even the little shoves and digs that come with being in middle school, the needling comments and sidelong sneers. Wolf took them in stride, and he certainly took enough of them. Bench called him composed, which made a lot of sense when you thought about it. Sometimes that meant that you didn't know exactly what Wolf was thinking, not if he was being quiet, which was kind of a default for him. Unlike Dee, who might as well have billboards above his head spelling out his feelings for anyone who cared to know, which was usually just the 3 of us, and not always that many. I'm serious, Dee said. You wait and see. We're all going to pay for this. Wolf gave him a playful shove as we pushed into the cafeteria. Bench and I waiting in line, Dee and Wolf headed toward our usual seats. The same seats we'd sat in for a couple of years now, just the 4 of us. My people, the ones I found, the ones I counted on for everything. The crackdown. I should stop and tell you about them, the tribe. Maybe it will help you to understand what happened. Maybe not. Maybe there is no explanation. Maybe my dad is right and people are just basically jerks. It certainly seems that way sometimes. I have this theory. I call it the theory of sociomagnetic homogeny. A bunch of big words, but it basically says that people gravitate toward people who share their interest and whatnot. Band kids will hang out with other band kids. People with pierced tongues will hang out with people with pierced noses. The basketball players will clump together like cat hair on a sofa. Kids who lawyer fathers drive heated leather-seated sports cars hang with other kids who lawyer fathers drive heated leather sports cars. There are exceptions, of course, but all other things being equal, you merge with the crowd that reminds you the most of you. It's not that original, I guess, and it's mostly just common sense, but I took it one step further. My theory has to do with the people who don't find people just like them. These people, they find each other, and then they realize that not finding people like them is the only thing they have in common. That's what happened to me, I think. I found the people who weren't quite like other people, and we used that difference as glue. There were 4 of us, all boys, and we were all smart, or at least above the national average according to state-mandated standardized test. So we have that too. What we didn't have was a tribe, so we made one. For me, at least, it started with Bench. Real name, Jeremiah Jones. His parents and teachers call him JJ, but we don't call each other by our real names. You can blame me for that one. Bench does sports, the big three of football, basketball, and baseball, but he's not that good at any of them. Not good enough to start anyways, so mostly he just moves from bench to bench, waiting for the fourth quarter or the ninth inning when the game is completely out of hand, and putting him in won't really cost anything or alter the fabric of the universe. The cool thing about Bench was that he didn't seem to care that he wasn't very good. He just enjoyed being part of a team. The other players didn't mind having him around because he was a nice guy who also never threatened to replace them. And the coaches liked him because he was an A student and never complained. Bench was BMS's poster boy for student athletes. He brought the cumulative GPA of the basketball team up. It was good for us because being attached to Bench, the rest of us were mostly ignored by the other jocks. We didn't care that we never scored a single goal. In fact, it was probably better for us that he didn't. It's not as if the starting quarterback sat at our table. Besides, Bench could at least make a free throw, which is more than can be said for Didi, a.k.a. Advik Patel, the third member of our tribe. His dad is Indian, which Bench says should make him genetically inclined to love cricket, at least, but Advik prefers to fight dragons instead. Didi is short for D&D, which is way too geeky to say out loud even for us, but he says none of us can pronounce his real name right anyway, so Didi's fine with him. Unlike Bench, who has an inch on me at least, Didi's a full 2 inches shorter than I am, with shorter black hair and an even shorter attention span, and he knows way too much about Tolkien and Harry Potter and Gary Gygax. You probably don't know who Gary Gygax is, and even if you do, you probably wouldn't admit it. I don't blame you. There are some things that have to stay among your tribe. Didi's a polyhedral dice junkie. That's what you call those dice with so many different faces. He's got a collection of them tucked away in a wooden box shaped like a treasure chest under his bed. Clear ones and colored ones and ones that look like they've been chiseled out of marble, little pyramids that go up to 4 and giant angular eyeballs that go all the way up to 60. I won't bother telling you that most 13-year-old boys keep hidden under their beds, but I guarantee you it's not dice. He also keeps one in his pocket, a 10-sider with a dragon in place of the number 1. He insists it's good luck. He uses it to make pretty much all his major life decisions. We played D&D with Didi on the weekends, so long as Wolf wasn't out of town at a recital and Bench didn't have some kind of camp or practice, turns out I'm almost always available. Didi was the dungeon master, of course. Bench was a hulking barbarian with too many swords. I was an elfish thief who went around stabbing everybody in the back. Wolf was a bard. He stood in the back and played his music and tried to stay out of the way. That's called typecasting. Wolf is short for Wolfgang, which is short for Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, because, as Wolf puts it, he could never pull off the nickname Mozart. Of course, he can't pull off Wolf either, but we let it go, mostly because his real name is Morgan, which at some point became much more popular for girls than boys. Nothing about Wolf looks particularly wolfish. Maybe starved wolf who doesn't get out of the cave much? Lanky limbs and freckly face and moppish blonde hair that he's constantly brushing out of his eyes. What he is, though, is a piano prodigy. 3-time Folsom County Award winner, Juniors Division. Wolf has been playing since he was 5. Mostly classical, some jazz. He can actually play that Bumblebee song, the one that sounds like the piano itself is having a seizure. We keep begging him to put his talents to good use writing rock songs, but his parents don't believe in good music. They believe in chopping and perfect posture and 2 hours of practice a day. Wolf sits on a bench almost as much as Bench does. Except we're all pretty sure that Bench is never going to be a starting wide out for the Lions, despite all his talk of someday winning the Super Bowl. Wolf's different. Someday, we are all going to go watch him play Carnegie Hall. He'll be wearing a tuxedo and white bow tie to match the keys, and the 3 of us will have front row seats. Bench Dee Dee, and Wolf, the tribe, my people. Not that we couldn't have tried to fit in somewhere else. Bench had guys he knuckle-bumped in the halls from his various teams. Wolf knew people in the band. Even Dee Dee had a couple of kids he went to summer camp with. But there was something that drew the four of us together. We just got each other. It was easy. We knew where we belonged. There were others sometimes, nomads, people who hadn't found their tribe yet, guys like Nips, superfluous third nipple on the right, just below his equally superfluous second nipple, and Crash, skateboard versus car, car won. But for the most part of it, it was just the four of us, Bench, Dee Dee, Wolf, and me. My name is Frost. Cool, right? Trust me, it's not. But at least it's better than Nips.